Hey guys, welcome to the Cash Flow Talk, episode number 8. I am so excited to have today a good friend, Alex Pardo. He's a real estate investor, wholesaler, entrepreneur. He's a friend of mine, but also a person that I've learned a lot about business, relationships. And we've had many talks about business and how we can take our business to the next level. Alex, I know you're a super busy guy, man. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, man. I'm always blessed to, to be invited to come on shows like this. I love what you're doing, man. And anytime I have a chance to connect and add value, you can count me in, brother. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Before we get started, man, I wanted to ask the viewers, if you see any value in here, subscribe below, comment below, let us know how we're doing. Alex, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Tell me a little bit about you, about your business, but how did you came to be the person who you are and the business owner who you are today?
Yeah, so I'll do my best to keep it under a minute, but going back to 11, 12, 13 years old, I was buying and selling baseball cards. At the time, little did I know I was basically wholesaling. I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial bug, but when I got into FIU, which is a pretty big university here in South Florida, something changed where I wanted to kind of climb the corporate ladder. My ambitions had changed. So I accepted a job with General Electric in their financial management program. It was a 2-year program where I rotated to different aspects of the business. And Camilo, I would never, those defining moments in your life? For me, it was like 3 to 4 months into that job where I was averaging 70 to 75 hours a week, just looking at Excel and PowerPoint. I said to myself, I looked at my boss and I said, I don't want to be my boss, and I don't want to be my boss's boss. And I don't want to be the CFO like I thought I did. I think I was just more attracted to the prestige of it. Okay. And I finished off that 2-year program. I went backpacking around Europe for a couple, 3-4 months with my friends. When I got back, I attended a boot camp on marketing for deals with Dave Lindahl. This was October 2005.
Okay.
Man, to wind up the story, I took a letter that was in that manual. It was a pre-foreclosure letter. I did my first direct mail campaign, and about 50 to 60 days later, I did my first deal, made almost as much money as I did in my corporate job with GE, and I haven't looked back ever since.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love those type of stories because it relates to me and my story. Same thing, man. I was in high school and I got like a $13, $14 an hour job. Like at the moment, the most you could get was $7 an hour. And I hated every minute of it. Yeah, I was working, like you said, 40 hours and still going to high school. I couldn't do my sports. It was hideous. So as soon as I got out of high school, man, I said, listen, I need to do something for myself. Alex, you are in South Florida like I am, Miami. Tell me a little bit about, let's talk about real estate. Tell me a little bit about the market. How do you see it? You've been in the business for a while now, and you've ridden that wave.
Yeah.
A little bit about your experience and what do you think it's going on right now?
Yeah. So, I wish I had that crystal bubble, that the crystal ball that people talk about. And I always ask people that, I come in contact through masterminds I'm a part of. I come in contact with people that I consider a whole lot smarter than me. And I always ask them the same question: where do you see the market? Where are things in your business? And here's the takeaway that I've gotten from this year. Real estate cycles, I used to think they were in 10 to 12 year cycles. But recently I learned about the 18-year real estate cycle. And, we've been on a pretty good ride, as you know, Camilo, for the last, 9, 10 years, maybe even a little longer. The market will correct itself. It will turn. Now, do I expect it to be what we saw in 2007, 2008? I don't. Having said that, I think it's a perfect opportunity to take some chips off the table. If you're a fix and flipper and you're involved in properties that are $300,000 plus ARV, after repaired value, just be very cautious, be very careful. Make sure that, you're getting in and out of these projects as quickly as possible. Make sure that you have cash reserves that you can fall back on, because when the market turns, whether that's in 12 months, 18 months, I can't imagine it being, longer than 24 months.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that time frame, I believe the market will turn. It's, I want to go shopping for real estate. I want to be in a position where I could take advantage of opportunities. So I think it's a really good opportunity for, your listeners and your followers to take that advice and see how they could, stack some capital, take some chips off the table. If possibly even buying and holding, if you have rentals. I've talked to a couple of students that have had rentals for years and they have so much equity in these properties that it's a good opportunity to maybe think about selling those rentals, either sitting back on that cash to take advantage of opportunities, or possibly even deploying that capital in a different market. You know, you and I talked about, I recently started acquiring rentals in Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know, I love the Ohio market. It's a cash flowing market. That market is going to react very different when the market turns than the coastal markets. You know, we're here in Miami. I think the last time, 2008, I think we swung about 30 to 40% prices when the market, in those markets, it's less than 10%. And I want to, you know, what's funny is that so many people are out there pounding their chest about how many deals they're doing, how much money they're making, and they think it's them, but the market can save you. You know what I mean? Like the market can erase a lot of mistakes that we as investors make.
Okay.
And so I think it's just a good opportunity. It's not doom and gloom. There's always going to be opportunity, whether it's an up market, a down market, but I think it's an opportunity to just be aware of what's on the horizon and just prepare yourself for it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I agree 100%. In fact, I'm going to in a month. I'm going to Detroit actually to explore that neighborhood as well. I have a good connection over there, so I feel what you're saying, and yeah, explore the markets that are not on the coast, because that's a great. So we are connected, brother. We're connected, brother. Tell me a little bit about your Flip Empire show. You are, like I said before, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're flipper, landlord, wholesaler. Why go about entertainment and information business or sector? Tell me a little bit about it, and give me a sales pitch about your podcast, because it's amazing. I've been on it.
Yeah, brother. So it was awesome to have you on. We got so much good feedback from that episode, man. And, you know, so I used to have conversations like we're having now on a daily basis with other entrepreneurs, with, you know, family, friends. And at my heart, at my core, giving has just always been something that's been really important to me. And I know that sounds cliche, but like I'm being genuine when I say I like to have impact on people's lives, you know? And so years ago, I would take on like a one-on-one coaching client, and I would see the results and the success they would have. And it just gave me such a sense of fulfillment and contribution. And so I was always looking for a platform to reach the masses and essentially build an audience. Around 2016, I didn't have a goal to monetize the podcast, but I liked the idea of being able to jump behind a mic and just either connect with someone like you, ask them questions, learn from them, and deliver as much value as possible. But I also like jumping on by myself and sharing, hey, here's what I'm doing in my business. Here's what's working. Here's what's not working. You know, here's a failure I had. Here's a success I had. And so June of 2016, I launched the Flip Empire Show. And, you know, here I am. I think it's 254 episodes that we've published since then. So we do 2 episodes a week, Monday and Thursday. And I can't tell you how many opportunities it's opened up for me. And I think it's because I led with just wanting to share and add value versus, hey, how can I monetize this podcast? I don't sell anything on there. It's just, hey, let's talk shop. You know, here's what I think you can implement in your business to help, because these are the results that I've experienced, you know?
That's awesome. And for the person who don't know, the Flip Empire Show is about real estate investing and wholesaling, correct?
Correct. But, you know, the show has evolved, Camilo, over the last year and a half or so. We have talked, it's not just about wholesaling and flipping properties, which, as you know, is a fantastic business, but it's transactional.
Yeah.
The show has evolved, and we've talked a lot about wealth building and cash flow. The reason I got into this business, you and I have had, you know, private conversations about that if there's one mistake I think I've made is I got addicted to the income that you can generate in this business by wholesaling properties, because it's pretty damn simple. Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts to the business, but it's transactional based. And so if me or my business stops working, you're only as good as your last deal. And so the show has really evolved in it speaks to wholesalers, but hey, how can you take the money that you make in your wholesaling, in your real estate business, how can you put it into assets that are going to produce cash flow for you month in, month out?
I love it. I love it. Which leads me to my next question. What is your biggest obstacle that you've had to have in life, in business, especially in business? Let's not talk so personal, but in business, okay, what has been your biggest obstacle, your biggest failure, and how did you overcome that? Because one thing that I hate, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these these talks, it's everybody talks about their success. Oh my God, look at my new Porsche. Look about the stack of money that I have. Nobody talks about the failures. And this is about learning from the failures, moving on one deal at a time. What has been one of those that you've learned so much from it that you can share with us today?
So I'll tell you what, I think fear to a certain degree has held me back. And I'm not talking fear of like, you know, public speaking or anything like that. I'm talking about fear of like growing and succeeding. You know, it wasn't until about 2010, 11 that I actually started to build a team. So the first 5-6 years, you know, I didn't want to grow. I didn't want to build a team. It was just me. And I think that stunted my growth because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so much that one person can do. And, you know, so for me, the first mistake I always tell people is get a coach, get a mentor. And I know that's so over, you know, like it's just everybody says get a coach, get a mentor. But I made about a $55,000 mistake in 2007 where I got into a property I shouldn't have. That's the most money I've ever lost on a deal. I lost 55 grand in 2007. Thank God it didn't like put me under because that amount of money can really like hurt a lot of people. I was able to come out better on the other side. But after that experience, I said, I'm going to stop trying to just get information from here, get information from there. But I connected with somebody locally that I really admired and respected that had been through multiple real estate cycles. And I paid that person, you know, because I believe when you pay attention. And so that was, you know, without getting into the story, that was one mistake. You know, I got into a property I shouldn't have. And I've always been one to kind of shoot and then aim. You know what I mean? Like I've never really suffered from procrastination. Like I see something, I want it, I go get it. And sometimes that helps. And sometimes that's kind of a detriment to me because I just kind of jump in and I figure it out along the way. I made a big mistake. I think if I would have had somebody in my corner that I could just ask questions to, seek guidance and counseling, I wouldn't have made that mistake. And then, like I said, just wanting to, I think what big mistake, Camilo, that people make is that they're not clear on what they want. Like, what do you want your life to look like? So many people, they look at this guy or this gal on Facebook and they said, that's what I want, right? But they're trying to live and copy somebody else's life, but that might not be like, they might not have that particular unique ability, right? Like what's that unique skill set that comes to you naturally? How can you double and triple down on that? And then get clear on what you want your life and your business to look like. Then design your business to support that lifestyle. I think I didn't figure that out until, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. And let's say if that mistake was big enough that you would have lost everything. How would you, like today you do a deal and you lose absolutely everything, including your office space, your the people that you're working with, all the assets that you've had, podcasts, everything. How would you start again? What would you do?
You know what the best, and that's a great question. The best part about the answer that's to come is that while it would suck, I wouldn't really be affected by it because you can't take away what I've learned. You can't take away my contacts, my network. You can't take away the experience. And so I truly believe that if I fell flat on my face and I had to declare bankruptcy, while it would suck and that would be a painful experience that of course nobody wants to go through, I truly believe I'd come out better on the other side. And I think it's because I'm constantly working on my mindset. Personal development is just, it's a part of who I am. It's part of my DNA. And it's, I think it was Tony Robbins that, personal development, he talked about, it's kind of like showering. You don't just do it once and that's it. Like you do it on a daily basis. And I think the more that you can invest in yourself, that's your biggest asset. Nobody can take that away from you. So how would I start again? Number one, I would like, okay, what did I learn from this experience? And then I look at it through a different perspective. Like I reframe the conversation in my head. Okay, for example, let's say I filed bankruptcy. What did I learn from it? How can I use this experience to make me that much better going forward? And then what direction do I want to go in? And of course, I would seek out, I talk to coaches, mentors, people in my mastermind. I have the ability to connect with people that I think are so much wiser than I am that I have no doubt I'll just come out better on the other ends.
Love it, man, love it. Yeah, and that showering example was awesome. There's a big saying, I'm sure you've heard it before plenty of times. Education is expensive, try ignorance, right?
There you go. It's so true.
That's a good one. Alex, a couple more questions. So you're saying you're talking about mindset and learning from others and books and audiobooks. That leads me to my next questions. What is the one set of books, podcast, audiobook, TED Talk, YouTube channel that you could recommend somebody reading or listening to? Or what's the one person or follower that you would recommend somebody?
So there's so many. It's so difficult to answer that question in like 1 or 2 sentences. I'll fire off some books that have had a big impact on my life. Some of these are the common ones that you and I both know. Of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the 4-Hour Work Week. Think and Grow Rich was the first personal development book I ever read.
Okay.
To this day, I try to reread that book once a year because I always pick out something new. But just some of the newer books, like to me, Traction by Gino Wickman. That's like the business Bible for me.
Wow.
So Traction has had a huge impact on our business and implementing the EOS system, Entrepreneur Operating System. The One Thing by Gary Keller, amazing book. The Pumpkin Plan. And the last one I'll mention is Profit First. So, people don't pay themselves first.
Yeah.
And you have to. It's kind of like, it's also the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, talks about paying yourself 10% first before anything else.
That's actually one of my 3 next books. So looking forward to it. Have you read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek?
I have. Great book. Simon Sinek, he's a genius. That guy is just so brilliant.
That guy, that book was amazing. And he just got out a second book that I think is called Find Your Why. So it's not.
I haven't read that one.
Man, that's actually my next book. So that was mind blowing. It was life changing for me, and it was actually business changing because it gives you a different perspective in business. You're not just in business for the money. You have a much bigger purpose, and you have to be able to elaborate, and you have to be able to say it nicely and smoothly every time you're meeting somebody else. Why are you in business? And it has nothing to do with money. So that was a great book, man. I appreciate that. Hey, how can our viewers get in contact with you and listen to your podcast?
Yeah, so if you just go to flipempire.com, like I said, there's over 250 episodes published every Monday, every Thursday. So if you go to flipempire.com, you could subscribe on iTunes. If you look it up in iTunes, it's called The Flip Empire Show. And like I said, we don't sell anything. I'm never asking for anything. It's just, hey, here's on Monday, I interview an expert like I did with you several months ago. And then on Thursday, it's just me. And they're shorter shows. We keep them. The Thursday shows between 5 and 15 minutes, and the expert interviews are on half an hour.
Awesome. Love it. Now, I've never done this before, but I wanted to have like a quick lightning fun round.
Let's do it.
2, 3, 4 words of your answer. Let me know what your thoughts are.
All right.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? But keep it 5 words or short, like 1 sentence.
Start now.
Who was your idol when you were a kid?
Nolan Ryan, baseball player.
Wow, love it. I love baseball. What do you always carry with you? But please don't tell me your cell phone. What else?
What do I always carry with me? My thoughts. I'm always thinking. I'm very introspective. I'm always asking myself better questions because I believe that, again, Tony Robbins is someone I follow. The quality of your life can be determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself.
Love it. That was a great answer. If you didn't do what you do today, what would you be doing?
I'd be involved in sports in some way, shape, or form.
Love it.
Yeah.
What would you have loved to do, but you didn't have the talent for?
Professional baseball player.
Love it. And if you could change something in the world, what would it be?
Poverty.
Awesome.
Poverty. Yeah. Awesome. I think we have there's too much abundance and resources out there for anybody to just live in poverty, whether it's financial or whether it's poverty up here. So.
Love it, man. Hey, listen, thank you so much for your time. Do me a favor, man. I've told our viewers plenty of times, subscribe below, blah, blah, blah. The whole drill. But one thing is, if it comes from me, how about if it comes from you? Can you share your experience?
Absolutely, man. So let me just kind of give you a testimonial here. I've probably known you, Camilo, since, I don't know, man, 2012 or so, I would think, 13, around there. And it's been amazing to watch your growth, like start from just somebody like that wants to jump into the business, but what you've accomplished over the last 5 years, from my perspective, you and I have done, several joint venture deals together. You have such a unique ability to connect with people, to just live that cash flow life. And I wish, I'm envious in a positive way of you, because when I got started, I didn't have that mindset. And you quickly realized it just wasn't about flipping and wholesaling, but you know, you're living that cash flow life now. You and your wife are, you know, you're examples for people. So man, I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful for our friendship, and I love what you're doing with the membership program, the YouTube show. I mean, just people need to plug into you because you have a lot of value, and it's not just like talk from some of these guys. You're living it. You're walking the walk. I mean, you do this business on a daily basis, and I see it, you know?
Thank you so much, bro. I was expecting a quick subscribe or something like that, but I'll take it. I'll take it, man. I appreciate it. Man. Alex, again, man, I know you're super busy. Thank you so much for your time. I promise you it was going to be about 15 minutes, but these were like about 20 very fun minutes. Thank you so much for your time, bro.
Thank you for having me, man.
And I appreciate it, man.
All right, my man. Love you, bro.
Have a good one, bro. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.